Hey guys, camera for Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 3, Oathbreaker. And I was definitely looking forward to this episode, especially with the way things ended up last week, because as we know, Jon Snow is now alive. And there are a lot of directions they could really take that, of which I was really, looking forward to seeing them explore. And this was another really great episode. Definitely really enjoyed it. I don't think it was as strong as the first two, but let's get into this episode because there is a lot to talk about, especially regarding Jon. Most of this episode did focus on Jon Snow, and, now that he's back, what does that do to the Watch and everything? So, we see Davos, he stares at Jon as he lifts himself up, and Jon examines the stab wounds on his body. He begins to shiver and stumbles off the table into a cloak that Davos was holding, because obviously Jon's completely naked and it's the middle of winter. And Melisandre walks in and finds them, and Jon remembers the stabbing and doesn't understand why he's here and how he's alive. And I like that Jon does remember. That's something I was worried about. Was Jon actually going to remember what happened, or was he going to come back a completely different man? And we see right away that this basically is the Jon we left off with, but he's now been reborn, and he doesn't really understand how he survived, because obviously he was stabbed and he was killed. He doesn't know why he's here, and Davos tells him that Melisandre brought him back. She asks where he went after he died and what he saw, and Jon says that he saw absolutely nothing, which is very interesting that he saw nothing. I mean, sometimes people say they saw light, but it does kind of make sense that, when you die, you don't really see anything. Davos says Melisandre give them a moment, and Jon tells Davos that he did what he thought was right, but he got murdered for it because he really thought that, as we know, he really thought it was right to ally with the wildings. That's what he thought the best thing to do was. But of course, because of that, and because of him letting his, judgment get in the way of his decision making, he did in fact get murdered for it, and he wants to know why he's back, but Davos says it doesn't matter, he just needs to move on and basically just continue doing what he's doing. They want him to just go back to heading the Watch and everything. That's what he needs to do. Jon walks out to the courtyard of Castle Black. The Night's Watch and wildlings then stare at him, and Tommen tells him that the others think that he's this god, and I love right away that Jon is saying, no, I am no god, I'm just back. He doesn't understand it really, and the man who returned from the dead and then embraces him, and Jon walks to Ed and embraces him. Ed asks if it's still Jon in the body, because he doesn't really know if, Jon could have come back, it could be someone else, and Jon says that he thinks so, tells him to hold off on burning his body, and basically, I really do love the scene, because like I said, they were convinced that Jon was not back. They were convinced that he was going to die, and now that they see he's back, they don't really understand it, but they pretty much have to go on with it, and they have to move on from it and just continue doing what they were doing. So Gilly looks out the window of the ship that she and Sam are traveling on, and we finally see Sam and Gilly for the first time this season, and as we know, Sam is no longer with Jon. He left Jon, he decided to, Jon let him live his own life with Gilly, and we really do get to see how that plays out in this episode, which I do like, but it isn't exactly that interesting, I definitely will say. I mean, I do like the dynamic between Sam and Gilly, but it's not the most interesting thing that we saw, just because of the fact that they're kind of just on their own right now, and I am looking forward to seeing what happens when Sam gets word of Jon, but honestly, I really didn't think Sam and Gilly were exactly necessary anymore. We didn't really need to see them go on, and if they could really go on, we didn't really need to. I feel like we could have just ended with Jon saying, look, you don't need to be a part of this anymore and can go on with your life, because we didn't really need to see this anymore. They're no longer really involved with the main plot. I didn't really think we need to see this, so a lot of the Gilly and Sam stuff did feel kind of unnecessary here. But Gilly looks out of the window that she and Sam are traveling on. Sam is seasick. Gilly asks if Sam is going to be sick. He answers by vomiting into a bucket, and Gilly says that they'll be in Old Town soon. Sam explains that the Citadel doesn't have women and basically won't welcome Gilly and the baby because of that, and Sam says he's taking Gilly and the baby to Hornhill, his home, where his parents will take care of them, and Gilly isn't happy about that. They're pretending that little Sam is Sam's son, and that's very interesting that we saw this, but again, I just wasn't interested, mainly because the main reason that Sam would be in the show is no longer relevant, because the only reason I think you should have continued Sam being in the show is if Sam got word that Jon had died, but as we know, Jon is now alive. So that for me, I just don't see what the point is in keeping Sam on the show. And I'm not saying that Sam's a bad character. I think he's doing a very good job, and I really do like what they did with him in this episode. I think definitely there was some really great stuff with him here. For me personally, though, I did think some of the Sam stuff was kind of unnecessary, and I definitely really did enjoy that. And then we get something that we've never seen before. We get a flashback in this episode, which I really love seeing. One, because I never saw Ned Stark. You guys know I didn't see seasons 1 through 2. I started in season 3. 2, because it's very essential to Bran's plot. We see Ned Stark's men. They ride up to the Tower of Joy. The Kingsguard waits and prepare, And as Bran and the Three-Eyed Crow watching on the vision, Bran recognizes his father and Sir Arthur Dayne in the Kingsguard, and the Raven points out Howland Reed, Mira's father, beside Ned, and Ned wonders why the Kingsguard wasn't there to protect Rhaegar, and they say Rhaegar wanted them at the tower. Ned asks where his sister is. The Kingsguard armed for battle, and Ned's men draws their swords. A battle breaks out. Ned's men surround Arthur Dayne, who holds them off with two swords until only Ned remains. Ned and Dayne fight. Arthur has Ned beat, but Howland Reed stabs Arthur in the back, and Ned finishes Dayne off, and Ned hears screaming from inside the tower. And Bran wants to know, obviously, what's inside this tower, because he knows there's a lot going on there, but the Raven says it's time to go. Bran tries to follow Ned, but the Raven pulls him out, and the way that Bran can see these visions, just of his father, it's very interesting, and Bran is angry, convinced his father heard his voice, and determined to find out what was in the tower, because he knows that there's something in there, and the Raven says that Bran won't be there forever, but he must learn everything before he leaves. Now, if this is going where I think it's going, I really think this flashback is trying to show that Bran could end up in the position of his father, which is very interesting if that is what's going to happen, because the show is really about who's going to end up on that throne. And we know we're getting closer to the end of the show. We only have, I believe, 2 seasons left. And to me, I kind of feel like this is trying to show that Bran might end up on that throne. Now, I don't know if that's really trying to show that, but to me, it really does seem like Bran's going to have to fight. He's going to end up as, powerful as his father. And, I mean, he's seeing these visions for a reason, and I really do like seeing that. Giving Bran the ability to see these visions, it's a very interesting device, and I like where they're headed with that. Really interesting stuff with Bran. I really like what they're doing with that, and especially because we didn't see Bran at all last season. It really is a welcome return. It adds the sort of mystery, kind of suspended, this more like mystical element to Bran's plot that we didn't have before, and I definitely really did enjoy that. And just getting to see Ned Stark again, it's awesome to see. Sean Bean, of course, killed it, and it was great to see him again in this flashback. But the fact that he's seeing this, I mean, there has to be a reason why. We just don't really know what that is yet. But I do feel it's kind of showing that Bran might have to step up and kill his father. I'm not really sure. But clearly there is something in that tower. Now, what's in that tower, we don't know, but as the Raven said, it's time to go. So clearly there's something in that tower. And I don't know what that is that's in that tower, but something is going on there. But that's very important. We'll have what happens there. I don't really know what's going to happen with that. That's going to be very interesting as to what's in that tower and what's going to happen with that, because there's clearly a reason why we saw this flashback, what's so important about it. I mean, definitely there's something that's going to happen there, and definitely that's going to be very interesting. Now, a lot of people are thinking they're going to be introducing Lyanna Stark, because she was pictured with Ned and Benjen, and Lyanna Stark, I don't know the significance exactly of Lyanna Stark, but Ned remembers that he could hear, but basically, Lyanna Stark, I believe, is going to be introduced. I don't know the significance of her, but I'm hearing a lot of people say she's very important, so I'm going to go with that, but I also feel like it has to do with Bran himself, but we'll have to see where that goes. Very interesting stuff with Bran. I really do like that he has this ability to now see visions of flashbacks, which is very interesting. So, Daenerys arrives with Khal Moros's Khaleesi at Vaes Dothrak, and Daenerys is brought to see the Khaleethine, and she's stripped of her clothes, given the plain clothing of the Khaleethine. Now, I thought we were going to get to see her naked, but of course, as we know, we're never going to get to see Emilia Clarke naked because she doesn't want to, and they want to know why she didn't come to Vaes Dothrak after Drogo died, and she went out into the world, which is forbidden, and now they must decide what to do with her, because they need to make her of use, and they don't really know what to do at this point. This is where she was, now this is interesting, that this is where she was supposed to go all along, and of course we know that Drogo died in, I believe, season 2, Never since then, she's been in Marine, but I like they're trying to tell her that she was meant to be here. This is where she was meant to be. They meant to take her here all along. Now they just need to decide really what they want to do with her, and I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen there. I'm assuming they're going to hold her as prisoner, and what exactly they're going to make her do, I'm not really sure, but clearly this is not going to be a nice time for Daenerys. You can definitely tell this is not going to be a fun time for her, and I don't think it's supposed to be, definitely. I don't want it to be a fun time for her. So, interesting stuff there. Varys then finds himself in the Great Pyrean. The prostitute who helped the Harpies kill the Unsullied is brought to him, and Varys knows his name is Valen. He wants answers from her, but wants to do it by making her happy. She's the Unsullied and the Second Sons, and Daenerys is foreign invaders destroying their culture. And Varys rings up Valen's son. He promises the boy is in no immediate danger, but reminds her of the penalty for conspiring to kill the Queen's soldiers. And she worries that the Harpies will kill her if Varys doesn't, and Varys offers her a place on the ship to Pentos and a bag of silver, and it doesn't seem like he's going to kill her. It seems like he actually wants to set her free, but she really thinks that the Harpies are going to come after her, which we already know how powerful the Harpies are. We remember that whole big scene in Daenerys' kingdom last year, where they pretty much wiped out her entire army, and everything like that, so who knows what can happen here. Definitely that's going to be very interesting, and I don't know really if Varys knows what he's getting himself into, because obviously Varys, I think, his mind, thinks he's doing a good thing by setting her free, but he doesn't really know how powerful the Harpies really are. So Tyrion sits with Missandei and Grey Worm in silence. He tries to break the ice and asks what they would like to talk about. It's a great scene because I know a lot of people have said that they have not really loved Missandei and Grey Worm, but this scene was awesome. We're getting back to that fun, humorous Tyrion that we didn't get to see a lot of last year, and I love that. Tyrion has always been one of the most fun parts of the show. He brings a lot of comedy, he can be a lot of fun, and this is the perfect example of that. I love the scene where he's telling them to let's play a game. Grey Worm said they'd be talking about patrol. Tyrion says it's a report, not a conversation, and Tyrion suggests they play a game, but of course, Grey Worm and Missandei actually think he's talking about sex games, and it's a really funny scene, honestly. I like the way that he's trying to break the ice and not really know what to do with these two, because he really doesn't know what they want to talk about. I mean, they have nothing in common and literally have no idea what to talk about at this point, which is very funny. Varys finally arrives and informs that the other slave master of Slaver's Bay are funding the Sons of the Harpy, and that definitely is going to become a problem, obviously. They know what the Sons of the Harpy are, they know how dangerous they are, and this can't end well, definitely, so we'll have to see what happens with that. But I do like that Tyrion does have Missandei and Grey Worm. I'm looking forward to seeing what actually is going to happen there, because like I said, they literally at this point have nothing to talk about, and I don't really know what they're going to talk about, but that's going to be interesting. I like seeing that we got back to that humor side of Tyrion, something I think that the show's kind of been missing, and I'm glad that we got back to that. So Qyburn speaks with Varys' little birds in King's Landing. He's given them gifts and offers them help in exchange for information. He's joined by Sir Gregor, Jaime, and Cersei plans on using Gregor in trial by combat against the Faith. She orders Qyburn to get eyes and ears in all the important places in Westeros, and as we know, Cersei knows that they're going to have to fight. She knows that a war is coming. She knows that there's definitely going to be a war against... I keep forgetting her name, but the woman that's coming after them, I keep forgetting her name. What is her name? Give me a second, guys. What's her name? I don't know why I keep forgetting her name. What's her name? I know her name. I can't think of her name right now. I'm trying to think of her name. I'm sorry. I feel like an idiot. Game of Thrones... Arya. Of course, okay, Arya they know is coming after them. They know obviously they're going to prepare for war, and I like the way that Cersei's trying to do. She's trying to get Gregor to make sure that this doesn't happen, to try to fight against them, to get them back in power. But of course, we know what happened the last time. We know that obviously this did not work well for them. We know, of course, what ended up happening to, now I can't think of his name. What was his name? I'm not good with names today. I don't know what my problem is. I'm just not good with names. We know, of course, what happened to Oberyn. There we go. That's how this whole conflict started, and I don't know if this is really going to work out either. We'll have to see what happens with that. But it's clear that Cersei wants to be back in power, and she knows that might be the only way to do that. So Cersei, Jaime, and Gregor, they interrupt a meeting of the small council, which includes the Queen of Thorns, and Kevon Lannister, and Maester Pycelle, and Jaime takes his place as a member of the small council on the ground, that he's commander of the Kingsguard, and the small council adjourns rather than be bullied. They just don't want to be taken advantage of, they don't want to be yelled at, they don't want to deal with it, so they leave, and King Tommen then pays a visit to the High Sparrow. He requests that Cersei be allowed to see Myrcella's resting place, because as we know, he's not letting Cersei get to see Myrcella's funeral, and we know that obviously Cersei, Jaime told Tommen that the best thing to do is to tell the High Sparrow to let her do that. But he requests Cersei be allowed to see Myrcella's resting place, but the Sparrow actually refuses, and he's going against the king. This is the king here, and he's saying straight out no, but the High Sparrow tells Tommen that man first felt the love of the mother through their mothers, and Sparrow says that's one feeling that he never had. He never felt like he had love for his mother. And I do understand why it's a personal reason. He admits that he's very jealous, and I think it's an interesting direction to take the High Sparrow, because up to this point, the High Sparrow has been nothing more than a villain. We've seen him as very corrupted, we've seen him as very threatening, and here we really do get to see what he's really going through. He actually never really felt that love for the mother, he never had that mother's love, and one of the most important things for a child to have is a mother's love, and that's something that he never got to have. The Sparrow lectures Tommen on taking wise counsel, especially from the gods, and it's a really great scene. I really love seeing that. I think it really adds to the High Sparrow, and you see that he's really trying to tell Tommen that he never really felt this, and I think it's very interesting the way that that's going, and the way that he's going against Tommen is very personal, and I do like seeing that. So it's clear that Tommen, he's not really getting through to him, but we'll have to see where this is going, and he's basically telling him that I'm not the one you need to talk to, you need to talk to the council about this, you need to ask the gods, I'm just not the one to talk to you about. So it's very interesting where that's going to go. We'll have to see what happens with that. But also, why isn't Tommen, trying to free Margaery? Because as we know, him and Margaery are supposed to get married, and I don't know if they're actually going to get married. We'll see what happens with that, but why isn't he trying to free Margaery? Is there something I'm forgetting? I'm not really sure, guys, but maybe I'm forgetting something. I don't know. The Waif and Arya then train the House of Black and White. They spar and play the game of lies. The Waif asks about Arya's family and the Hound and Arya's list. And Jaquin offers Arya her eyes back and gives her a drink from the House of Black and White's pool. She drinks and her eyes are restored, so she's no longer blind. Now I'm starting to understand, I think, what this was. This was a challenge. This was a challenge for her training. It seems like her training is now over, that she basically has completed everything, that this was basically a challenge to see if she could continue to fight even without her, if she could do it blindfolded, because they always say, oh, I could do this blindfolded. That is exactly what Arya had to do. She basically had to do it blindfolded. Of course, she didn't have her eyesight, and be temporarily blind, but now she's no longer blind. She has her eyes back, and that's very interesting. I kind of understood it, but at the same time, I do think this kind of went on for too long, because it seemed like it's going to be a big point, and now it's not. So she now has her eyesight. We'll have to see what happens with that. I don't really know what's going to happen from there, but we'll have to see. Then we see representatives of House Umber. They ride to Winterfell. The Small John says that his father has died, and he's coming seeking a mutual agreement against Jon and the Wildings. And Umber refuses to bend the knee or swear an oath, but offers a gift. He brings in Osha and Rickon Stark. The head of Shaggy Dog is brought in as proof of Rickon's identity. And Ed tells Jon that it's time, and it's a really hard scene to watch, honestly, because this really is showing that Jon, if he's loyal to, who he really is loyal to. Is he loyal to the Wildings, or is he really loyal to, the Watch? And we see Alyssa, Thorne, Ollie, and the other mutineers are staying on a gallows, and Thorne is unapologetic about his decision, and Ollie only looks at Jon with scorn. You can see in his eyes, he's looking at Jon. He knows that Jon should not be alive. He knows that Jon should not really be the one to do this, because we know that he does not trust Jon, and we know that he did this because he really felt that Jon was wrong and that Jon betrayed them. And yes, Jon did betray him. He is not wrong about that. Jon was never on their side in this case. He was always against them. He wanted to get them against, he wanted to ally them against, he wanted to ally the Wildlings against what the Watch was saying, and that's why he's really upset. And Thorne is unapologetic about his decision. Ollie only looks at Jon with scorn. Jon cuts the rope, the traitors hang, and he kills them all. Ollie's dead, Alyssa Thorne's dead, and Ed suggests burning the bodies. Jon says that Ed should do it, hands over his cloak, turning over control of Castle Black. He says that his watch is ended and walks out, and I thought that was a great direction to take Jon in. He knows in his heart he doesn't need this. He doesn't want it anymore, and I don't think it's just Jon saying he doesn't deserve it. I don't think he wants it. I don't think he wants to be head of the Watch anymore. He just thinks he's done with it. Now Ed is the one that should do it. Ed was going to take his place in the first place. He feels that he doesn't need to do this anymore, and he just doesn't feel like he's on their side. He feels like he betrayed them. He feels like he's not a part of it, and it's a really good direction to take Jon in. I mean, he's not wrong when he says that he really doesn't deserve this, because honestly, truthfully, I don't think Jon really does deserve it. I mean, Jon hasn't really proven to them that he's any more loyal than he was before. He still wants to ally with the Wildlings. He's still trying to come to mutual agreement, and he just killed most of the 6 people in the Watch. So obviously, Jon, I think, has proven that he's not really worth the Watch anymore. I think he's going to go somewhere else, and I think it's a good direction to take Jon in. Now he's going to go with the Wildings. I don't really know what Jon's going to do. Maybe he'll go with the Wildings. Maybe he'll go to Castle. Maybe he'll go to the Starks. I don't really know. Definitely, I'm interested in seeing really what Jon's going to do. Maybe he'll even try to seek out his father. I mean, we know they said that there are rumors that Benjen's alive, so maybe he's going to try to find Benjen. I'm not really sure. At this point, your guess is as good as mine, guys. I don't really know where Jon goes from here. That's going to be very interesting, but I like seeing Jon back on the show. Honestly, it seemed like a dumb decision to bring Jon back, but now it really seems like the logical decision. The best thing to do was to get Jon to go through that pain, and now he has to live, and that's the thing that Jon really didn't want to have to do. Jon, we thought that Jon could get out of this just by getting killed, but that's far from it. Now he has to, now is a question of what next, which is something that everyone has to face at some point in their lives, and something that Jon, you can tell, really doesn't want to face. He doesn't want to think of the what's next. He wants to just focus on what he wants to, but he knows that he has to move on. He knows that now his watch is ended. He's no longer with, the wildings anymore, which is very interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with that. Really interesting direction to take Jon's character in. I really do like seeing that. But overall, guys, a really great episode. Like I said, a lot of things I definitely really enjoyed. Let's talk about Arya, because like I said, it really does seem like her eyesight is now gone. I'm guessing she's done with her training. I'm not really sure, guys. Again, I'm not entirely sure if this is just still a training montage, because honestly, it's annoying. It really is. Get Arya to do something else. I'm tired of her training with the Waif. I'm tired of her doing all this training. Get her to do something else. We've had her do this for 2 seasons. Come on, let's get her to do something else this season. Just not all this training. It's kind of dumb at this point. Not dumb. It's just, it feels like an extended montage. It still does, and it's just not really going anywhere. As far as Tommen goes, is he going to get through the Sparrow? I mean, the High Sparrows basically gave him a really good reason, I think, as to why he doesn't want to let Tommen, let's give Cersei the opportunity to see Myrcella's, funeral. Not just because of the fact that he doesn't want to, it's because of the fact that he didn't have that mother's love, and he doesn't want Tommen to have that either, because he feels jealous. And I don't know if that's a genuine reason, if that makes any sense, but we'll have to see what happens with that. That's going to be very interesting. I like seeing Cersei try to do this trial by combat. Is this really going to work? Are they going to gain control? Obviously, they're trying to stop a war from happening, but we know a war is going to happen at some point. We know definitely it's going to happen. I know a big theme of the season is, can they get back who they used to be? But I don't really know if the Lannisters are going to get back to be as powerful as they used to be. We'll have to see where that goes. I don't really know what's going to happen with that. Can they really be as powerful again? I'm not really sure. I'm not really 100% sure. I can't really tell you guys right now. We'll have to see what happens with that. That's going to be very interesting. Tyrion and the Sons of the Harpy, what are they going to do exactly? Obviously, they know how powerful the Sons of the Harpy are. I don't think Varys realized what he just did. We'll have to see what happens with that. That's going to be interesting as well. What exactly are the Vaes Dothrak? What are they going to do with Daenerys? Obviously, they're trying to figure out what to do with her. I don't really know what they're going to do. There are many options, obviously, but really, what are they going to do? We'll have to see. And then I guess the only thing to talk about is, what did that fantasy have to do with Bran? What's that really trying to show? Is that trying to show that Bran is going to become as powerful as Ned? Obviously, like I said, they're trying to introduce the other girl. Now I can't think of her name right now. Again, I'm not good with names today. I don't know what it is, guys. Something with names, I'm just not good. I'm usually really good with names, and I'm not good with names right now. Lyanna Stark. Are they going to show into Lyanna Stark? What's she going to bring? Why is she so important? What is in that tower? Clearly is something in that tunnel that, clearly the Raven is not wanting to see, and he wants to know what's in that tower. We don't know what's there. Sam and Gilly, like I said, that's the only thing that really killed this episode for me. This episode was not bad. I just think that it wasn't as interesting. I do think we should have maybe focused on Jon a bit more. We got those 2 in season with Jon. I kind of wanted a little bit more there. I do think we got some really good stuff in this episode. I definitely really didn't enjoy it, but to me, it just felt like another setting up stuff, which is fine. We're in the beginning of the season. Typically, that's what things are in the beginning of the season, that we're just setting things up, and that's perfectly fine with me. We're setting things up. Definitely looks like we're headed in for some really crazy stuff. We'll have to see what happens with that. But overall, guys, let me know what you guys saw this episode. Like I said, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought this was a really good one. Like I said, not a lot to say about this episode. I don't have a lot of thoughts on it, but I really did like, obviously, that flashback. I thought was really cool. I thought seeing, I thought that was really cool. I thought getting to see Tyrion get a sense of humor back, I thought that was really cool. I thought that definitely was really good. But now, Jon, like I said, it's going to be very interesting to see where they take Jon's character, what they're really going to do with that. War is definitely coming, guys. I mean, you can tell that there definitely is about to be a war breaking out. It's winter, so already that's a scare. But between the White Walkers and the Wildings and Ramsay, who was not in this episode, he was supposed to be, but I don't really think we ever saw Ramsay. We didn't see him here, but, we're supposed to get a gift now, and I actually think we saw it. But overall, guys, as much as you guys saw this episode, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Like I said, not my favorite episode by any means. I definitely really did enjoy it. I thought this was a really good episode. I definitely did enjoy a really great episode, actually. I really did enjoy a lot about it. Sam and Gilly, I don't really see the point in being on the show anymore. I really don't. Maybe you guys see more of a reason. Maybe it's because they want to keep them on because of the war that's coming. Because, like I said, I think there definitely is a war going to be coming. But let me know what you guys saw this episode. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for tonight's episode for The Walking Dead. And we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.